right, perfect. So we're good to go now. We'll get you started.
Okay.
Okay, sending the feed your way right now. Have a good show.
Thank you. Phew.
Welcome to an enlightened hour of interactive talk. This is Guided Spirit Conversations with host Marla Goldberg. In this program, we spotlight guests from all over the globe who have helped others change their lives and will provide you with the tips, tools, and techniques that you need to help you make a difference in your own life. Now, here is Marla Goldberg.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Guided Spirit Conversations. Today is Thursday, the 18th of June, and I'm here with Beth Lynch. Beth is an intuitive consultant, medium, author, and founder of Inner Light Teaching, where she shares the power of understanding the relationship between spirit and simply being a better human being. I just love that. I've been saying that all morning. Welcome, Beth. How are you?
I'm good. Hi. Thank you.
I'm so happy to have you on the show.
Grateful to be here.
So, Beth, let's start at the beginning. When did you start realizing that you had these abilities or talents, gifts? People call them different things.
Mm-hmm. Well, I always go back to childhood where I always felt oversensitive, over emotional. I felt like I could feel things, see things, feel people more overly than maybe what felt normal. And that intimidated me, scared me. And then you get to your teens and you kind of suppress it. And then you get to be, you're asking those bigger questions. My parents had both crossed in the early 90s. And at that point, I was 30 years old. And that shook me to my core. And that's when I started saying, okay, what is this and God and why and all those questions that I think, why are we here and how can this happen? And that really catapulted me into asking the questions, which I now believe, knowing and understanding the law of attraction, brought me to the places I need to be to learn about myself and the spirit of who I was.
Which is great. And so you went to the, what is it? I'm trying to find it, the school. You went to
Delphi?
Delphi University, the Patricia Hayes School of Metaphysics, and the Arthur Forge School of Mediumship.
Yeah. And led there by a friend who had been there and said, you should go to there. That's all that stuff you like. You're into, all that stuff, as they call it. And I did go, and I was from the very first moment I got there, you could feel a sacredness, but you felt secure, and all the terms you hear, spirit and God and oneness and the universe and consciousness, all began to make more sense, and you can feel it. So I really always say Delphi was a very major part in me opening my own understanding of spirit and being a human being. And that's where it all took off. And I became committed to wanting to help others. I really did.
And so tell us about your practice and what you do in your practice and how you help your clients.
Mm-hmm. In my practice, and it began with that sensitivity again of feeling other people and feeling things and giving insight that they seem to like. And you got to use it on yourself, that has to happen too. And so through that process, my sensitivity to spirit communication just became more strong, but also more natural. So that took a life of its own on. And I started, channeling for people, making that connection for them and seeing how it helped them and it helped me in my journey. And then understanding that meditation, I was always curious about it, but I never really could do it. I try to stop thinking I can't. I did it all. I said all those things that everyone says. And then I started getting more devoted to that. And I started just learning to breathe slow and, let thoughts run by. And my own practice, I saw the power. Focus and concentration got better. I could read something once and get it. That never was something I dealt with in school. I could read it 10 times and not tell you. And I'm, 61. So they didn't have names for it back then, I guess I would say. And, that's what I do. I help people, whether it's communicating with spirit. I have intuitive awareness programs, and meditation is big. And I run some meditation programs in my community. And that's what I do, really, the main thing, the three: channeling, teaching, and meditation programs.
So, as a practicing medium for over 2 decades, what would you say to those who fear it? What would you say to them to help them understand it and be comfortable with mediumship?
I always say this is how to explain mediumship. First of all, it's natural, but sometimes that's hard for people to understand the natural. How is that natural? Look at, we are mediating between what we think and how we feel all the time. We need to be mediating between what we think and how we feel. We learn that importance of that. And we mediate between the physical world and what is in a higher essence or higher energy. We're doing it regardless. And so when you understand that you are a mediator between what you think and feel, then you're all a little bit of medium in you. We all have different sensitivities to it, whether that's our soul plan or just the way we want to do it in our physical world. But I also say it is emotional. It is emotional to understand. And if the spirit world has a lot to say about every issue we're experiencing, and it always brings peace. You don't ask why anymore when you're connected to that.
Oh, lovely. So we have a caller. We have Sherry on hold, and she has a question. So welcome, Sherry.
Hi, Sherry.
Well, hello? Sherry, are you
Can you hear me?
there?
We can hear her now.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, great. Hi. My question is, can you develop psychic abilities? Can you have more than just general intuitiveness? And how do you do that?
Always, and I know people might want to choke me when I say this, but meditation is when you learn to just sit and be. And it's not hard. I will give you meditations. I will send them. It's learning to quiet the mind or slow the mind and just becoming more in charge, because your intuition resonates up in a higher frequency. So down here in our busyness of mind, we're in a lower frequency. It's not a bad one. It's slow. It's a lower one though. And when we meditate, even just the intention to do so, and we start to go up in frequency. When we're happy, we're up in a higher frequency. So the more you get yourself in a higher frequency and let that become more natural, your intuition naturally gets stronger. And I tell people, and whether you're going to hit it into, you want to pick up on patterns for people and do this to help, you got to help yourself first before others anyway, that it's a natural thing to be able to, it's just learning the soul language and learning how to understand it. And it can communicate to you differently than it can communicate to someone else, but it's finding that vibration that you can resonate in, and just, this is where I tune in. This is where I slow down. Nature, creativity, there's so many ways.
I would love to tap into this. I'm a nurse, and I would love to be able to help other people and with healing and other things. How do I know if I even have this, that was maybe part of my soul contract?
That's definitely part of your soul contract, just that you have the feeling. And I think understanding it more, if I may, I have a couple programs where I do help people with that. Few programs, you can do them on your own, you can do them with me. So, you could always reach out and I could tell you more. But it'll always be, I want people to understand how natural it is. It is in our compassionate and in our spirit to be compassionate and to want to help others. That's a natural thing. So, always know that what you do have this just because you feel it already. Everybody has it. It's just, where is it vibrationally? Is it in your conscious mind? It's definitely not in your subconscious, because you're already asking. So I'd love to more on that.
Beth, share your website address so she.
Yeah, it's
Sherry has it.
innerlightteaching.com. And innerlightteaching.com, and you can just email me from there or send me a text line. There's a text message line, and just say you were on the show, and if I could send you some links and you could read about it or send any questions, and we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you. I just love to find out more and just want to know how to develop things.
Yep. It's more simple than you know. And I always say I was led into it without really knowing I was developing it. And that's how I like people to understand. It's so natural, and it's really just, it really is. Keep
and for
feeling
those
what
of us
you
who
feel, because what you're doing is you're meant to help people more. And nurses are amazing. I've worked with a lot of people in the medical field doing meditation and alignment and intuitive development. And it's amazing because it is mind, body, spirit, but it's actually spirit, mind, body. That's the power.
Hmm. Right. And in choosing a career, I knew I always wanted to help people, and nursing was the thing that came to mind, how to do that best. So, and
That's
now
awesome.
I kind of like to take it to another level.
Well, that's
So,
what we need. We need our species needs that. The children of the future need that, because that's where, healthcare and spirit working together. There are miracles. I see them all the time. They're not separate. And that's a problem we have in the world, that's too separate, And
right.
once we come together, I know
Right.
there's hospitals that allow Reiki in there now in the ER or in the ER and in the ORs. And we just need that. Every hospital should have a wing that is about, bringing mind, body, spirit together.
Right.
It really
Well,
would
thank
make
you
a
so
difference.
much. I appreciate
Very welcome.
you taking the call.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sherry. Thank you for calling in. So let's talk about spirituality. It's so important, in my opinion, in every aspect of life, because it does touch every aspect. But to those who are a little hesitant to embrace what spirituality actually is, they feel their spirituality might be different from ours. Let's share the importance of how this works in one's life and how it helps in all aspects,
Every
meaning
aspect.
mental health, physical health, emotional health, and the spiritual health.
Well, the a way I say to look at it, what is the spirit? What is it? Well, we have the traditional understanding that it's an eternal essence or an eternal where we go after we physically die. I mean, well, we all kind of feel that, or that's where it begins. But what I've come to learn through spirit world communication, through my own awareness and experiences as well for myself and others, is this is what the spirit is. It is an essence. It's in our higher energy, our higher frequency. It is an aspect of our own consciousness. It is where intuition, it is where creativity, it is where compassion, communication, coping skills, and that connector to eternal life exists. And it's up there in a higher understanding. And when we align to that energy or that spirit of who we are now intuitive. We are now creative more. We are expressing. When you look at mental health, when we're unplugged from all of those essences or qualities, who wouldn't be fearful, anxiety ridden, depressed? Then the body gets, it's all connected. So when you really understand that the spirit is a natural essence of our higher qualities, why not plug into a source that allows it to download in? That's intelligence, by the way. I should have added that one in there. That's an intelligence that is beyond human comprehension. I often say in some of the insights I've gotten about life and in healing work, I couldn't have thought that in my little mind. And I don't want to say my mind is little, because the mind is big, the mind. But when we connect into a higher frequency, we download different intelligent understandings. Got Einstein right above me. He's quite smart.
Just to add into all of this, we bring Einstein into this.
Yeah. Well, he was on a search for spiritual understanding and God, and I've read amazing things on him, and I mentioned him in my book as well. So there's a funny story about that. But yeah, it's there for us. We have to want to if we understand what the spirit really means, I think it would take out a lot of the misconceptions and fears, and also the defiance, like it's your way. Well, some people say, well, that stuff you do is evil or the devil. Oh, are you kidding me? It connects you to a divine essence. It connects you to those experiences.
Absolutely. It
Jesus
does connect
taught
you.
this. Buddha taught this. This is nothing new. It's not new age. It's the oldest age.
I know. Isn't that interesting? They named it the New Age movement, but yet it truly isn't. It's ancient.
And the fear comes from giving that power to yourself. When you really understand it, you don't ask why for a lot of things anymore. You just don't.
It's true.
You
just
allow.
allow.
You allow.
I always said that at the same time.
Yeah, I know. That was good. Divinely allow. Let's do that on break. We all divinely allow.
Divinely allow. So for people who are a little apprehensive about you know, like embracing spirituality. I'm going to go there again. Do you have any things that you would tell a newbie, somebody who's never done this before, who might be a little fearful about putting their toe in that water? What would you
I guess
suggest
to
for
say,
them?
try it, you'll like it. No, um, understanding it and being, maybe even a lot of people just practice something every day for 3 minutes to 5 minutes to breathe slow and look at nature or do something creative or play some beautiful calming music and give yourself that, because once you feel it, I mean, I know I work with people who come to me to get them connected, but it all comes down to them wanting to feel it. It is a beautiful feeling to feel the essence of who you truly are. And it is natural. It is not supernatural. It is not unnatural. It is natural.
And when you do find that essence of who you really are, judgment falls away and
Mhm.
self-acceptance just becomes like the order of the day, where
Yeah.
you don't judge, you don't criticize, you just are allowing you to be who you are.
Yes. And you know what? It keeps you in check with yourself. It really keeps you in check and it lets you be aware. It's not about being perfect and, oh, fluffy, luffy, it's about being aware of where you can step back and maybe, look at something another way or another person's viewpoint and not be so angry. And we all know that that's going on. And it's sad that, we really all want happiness, health, and wealth and to survive as a human. So why don't we support each other in that instead of keep the separation going, which is what we're living through.
Well, we're living through incredible separation right now. And then
Mm.
you find the people who just want to keep everyone divided. And the one thing about spirituality, it's all encompassing, it's embracing, it's bringing people together.
Yes,
And that's a blessing.
it absolutely is.
I mean, if these rioters, so I was telling somebody, I was in Rochester, Minnesota, and um, it was the Friday night after, when all the protests and riots were happening. And what was fascinating is you see these people, I heard this noise, it woke me up. It was 11 o'clock at night. And I didn't know what it was. So I go to the window and you see the protesters and you see these guys angrily throwing down barrels because there's lots of construction going on, cones, they're breaking things. But then you see these peaceful protesters following behind, picking up the barrels, picking up the cones,
Um,
straightening things up. And it's like, oh my God, these people have their heart in the right place. They're protesting injustice, but they're doing it in a peaceful, gentle, supportive way, opposed to one that's dividing and breaking down.
hmm
And that
Maybe we
is,
need to see more of that on the media because we don't.
I think so too. Well, we're going to be right back. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about meditation. We're going to talk about intuition with Beth Lynch and myself. So stay tuned.
All right, perfect. Great job. All clear. Back in a
Hey,
couple minutes.
Matt, before you head out,
Yep.
I put out a thing that that the third caller will get my new book. How do we do this?
Are we counting the other caller as the first caller?
Yes,
Okay. So I guess if we get a third caller, I will just take down, I guess, maybe an email and the name,
perfect.
and so I can get that to you so you can contact them.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, no problem.
Okay. Now, I don't know if I did that on the show or on the break, but I did. But let people know. Two more phone, the caller after the next one. I have a new journal that's launching on the 1st of July. So it's called
Oh,
My Sacred Journal.
oh, I love it. I want to see that. Okay.
Thank you.
Very.
So, and it's, I just wanted to put in, and of course, every page I'm opening, but quotes, and, inspirational quotes, people, for healing, forgiveness,
Mhm.
self-acceptance,
Very nice.
things like that to support everyone. Thank you.
Very nice. I'll have to
Yeah.
check that out.
Why, thank you. So I'm very excited about that. Oh, that was good. Did you know Sherry?
Sherry,
The
no,
one who called?
no,
Okay.
no. I didn't recognize her name. No.
Well, it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it sometimes when, sometimes someone and they call and, hey, Beth, it's me. And I'm like, no, just go on. I don't even need to know it's you, Funny. Hi, you staged me. No, I wouldn't do that. But they see, so they call. Surprised they haven't.
Which is great. If they call, God bless.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because any question is a great question.
Yes, exactly. I agree.
So, is there anywhere you want me to go with the interview that I'm not didn't address?
No, I think the question is great. I'm getting to talk about everything. And if you want me to do a few minute meditation, I can do that.
That would be great.
A nice place to do that is like when we start seeing how many minutes to the break, you
Okay.
could say, Beth, would you like to guide us? And then we can let it take us into the break.
Okay.
I can
do
give
that
them a
the
little
next time.
mantra.
Love it.
Yeah, whenever you want, whatever how many segments we got? 3 or 4?
Three segments. We're really looking forward to you being part of our meditation, our guest meditator.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right. So sorry to interrupt, but we are coming back.
Perfect. Thanks.
You are listening to Guided Spirit Conversations. To reach Marla Goldberg or her guest today, you're invited to call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is guidedspiritconversations@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for sticking through that commercial break and staying with Beth and I. And if you're new and just tuned in, I'm with Beth Lynch. Beth is an intuitive consultant, medium, author, founder of Inner Light Teaching, and she loves to share the power of understanding of the relationship between spirit and being a better human being. And we were just talking about that and during the break. So welcome back, Beth.
Welcome.
No, yeah, we were talking about my experience and how in Minnesota, not Minnesota, Rochester, yeah, Minnesota, I'm thinking Minneapolis, how there were protesters and there were some people that were breaking things down, there was construction, so they're pulling, kicking the barrels or rolling them over in cones and making a mess. And then you had these peaceful protesters following who were cleaning up, picking the barrels back up, putting the cones back up, removing what they could. And it was just such a beautiful testament to, being able to peacefully state what they're trying to achieve. Mm-hmm. I really appreciate that.
There's an interesting view we could share on that, I think. And, when we look at, and I know not everybody's familiar with the terms of chakras and energy doorways and in the energy system. And, we could always go into that. That'd probably be a whole class, right? But, when we have perception and fear and anger and low frequency emotions stored down in what we call the root chakra, which is the lowest chakra closest to earth. And all of our energy and all of our emotions are going to express themselves at some time. And the chakras hold a lot of the subconscious. So, and it can hold it personal. It can hold it in your lineage, your race, your gender. And, the soul knows none of that. So when we're connected into our soul energy, we may be aware of our gender, what it was and all that. But all of this energy, no matter what it is, personal, it's, like I said, our nationality, our gender, it has to express. We're creative beings. We want to. And if we are suppressing in that low frequency, it's got to express. And it's going to express in anger. And it's going to express in physical ways. So that clearly shows the power of evolution of consciousness and being connected more into the spirit of who we are as a species. When we understand the spirit of who we are as a species, we are better humans.
Yeah.
What do you want? Who do you want to live next to? You want to be connected to a better human. You want your children to be better humans. I mean, keep it simple, and deal with the emotions and come together, in that understanding. I think it would change everything. But I don't think in all reality that the earth will they always call it Earth School. Can we all be in the same vibration at once on earth? What I've learned in spirit communication is they're not even in that up there, but they obviously have a very big view of where their fears and their angers and things evolve from, and they go and they learn up there too. It's a very beautiful thing, but they learn with that almost that curiosity that awakens many who would be, I consider those peaceful protesters, or you and myself, and people who, yes, I want, that's what, we get it.
Yes.
We're always open to understand more, and that's part of that innocence and curiosity of our soul. So why not want that? And it'd be nice to see it all in one, but I don't know.
I think that it would be wonderful to see it because, yes, when we transition, we're always learning. It doesn't stop because we take our last breath in this body. This is just a temporary shell. And then you go up there but I call it the debriefing. They debrief you. They show you what you did in the lifetime you're leaving, and how your actions might have affected others, and actions affect you.
I love that, the debriefing. That's a good one. I like that.
Thank you. And it just is, I find it a lovely thought that, you have to still continue to work on yourself. Your soul continues to work. It wants to evolve. It wants to ascend, and it doesn't stop just because we don't have a shell around us.
The way that I see it, and people say, well, what does a spirit look like? Do you see them? And it's like a hologram, and it's an essence of your shell, your energy. And, you see that hologram, and that's the easiest way to explain it. And I've always felt comfortable with that. But I remember one time that it really like hit me so strong. It wasn't all that long ago. And I remember, because I have a lot of tattoos and they all have a little story for me. And I remember thinking one day, God, I like my tattoos. So when I no longer physical, I'm not going to have them anymore. And I was just having this little conversation with myself. And I thought, geez, oh, well, I do love them, but oh, well, that's okay. And I kind of laughed at myself for even thinking it, but I did. The next day in my own meditation time, not thinking about that, I started to go through, I slow your breath, keep it simple. And all of a sudden I saw a young woman walking by water, and she kind of swooped up the water, and the way that it glittered. And I'm like, oh, who am I seeing? I'm seeing a spirit, and so I just kept my breath slow. Anyone wanting to do this is what you do. And as it zoomed in for me, I love how spirit zooms in. It zoomed in, and all of a sudden I could see glitter on the arms, and I realized they were in the shape of my tattoos. So now I'm like really trying to breathe slow because I'm getting excited. What am I seeing? And she looked up at me and smiled, and I realized it was my higher self. And I got emotional. I mean, tears were now running down my face. But then I had a giggle because I thought, oh, they showed me that I'm going to keep my tattoos. And I kind of, how could you not giggle at that, right? So anyways, I went, wow. And that was just like the day before, thinking something, oh man, I'm not going to have them anymore when because I won't have tissue. That's
Right.
kind of the way I was breaking it down. And then the next day to just have that moment, it was beautiful. And I'll never forget how she looked at me. I saw my higher self.
How beautiful is that?
And that's what I tell people. If I went in and said, I want to see my higher self and see if she has tattoos. Oh gosh, that's just taking it up
Right.
You're crazy. But when you're putting it out there and you allow time for yourself each day, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, to just be, and throughout the day, take a moment. It's amazing what comes to you.
Well, it's like, it's like that example of all of a sudden something comes to you, an answer comes to you when you're driving your car, you're in the shower. Why does that happen? It's because you're not focusing on the question. You're not
Absolutely.
ruminating on the question. You ask the question in your mind or whatever, and it just,
put out.
when your mind is empty enough. I know I'm hearing slow, but it's also empty because I know that I never thought I was intuitive. I never thought I had the abilities I had. And why? Because I lived in my head. If you live in your head and you don't give that head a break, you can't get the messages. There's too much activity going on and you will not hear it because a lot of times it's a whisper. It's not a holler.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I look at receiving information. When Sherry had called, that's how I feel about that. It's you have to understand that you're going to be receiving a whisper, and give yourself that quiet time. Ask a question before you go to sleep and let it go and see what happens when you wake up or take a shower or walk your dog or whatever. A lot of times you'll just have that epiphany of an answer and going, wow, that's great. Why didn't I think of that?
Yes, I love that. I tell people when I'm channeling, I'll say, write a thought down or have a thought that you want them to talk, maybe mention today somewhere in the session. And I noticed that when I started doing that, I would just tell people during the blessing, just have a thought, don't tell them 10 things, tell them one thing, tell them a color, tell them an object, tell them a letter. It doesn't matter. Tell them it could be a memory. And I can't tell how many times it comes back. They'll say, that's what I told them to say. You know what I mean? They heard you. They heard you. And that's the greatest gift you give yourself, understanding where your loved ones are crossed. They hear you. And they know when not to listen. Don't worry. They've told me that before. We know when not to look. That's funny. Do they see everything? That's a common question. Do they see everything?
That's so funny. I started reading Rosemary Altia's book, decades ago.
Yeah.
That I love. And she talks about how her first experience seeing a spirit was when she was in the bathtub.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah,
was
I can relate to that. That's funny.
And and you sit there, but the reality of it is all spirit sees is a light. It's not like they're going to see you in your body, you're naked.
Exactly.
They just
You're picking
the
up
light.
on the frequency and the radio wave that where they may be having their own thought preparing or maybe just going to be using you for that. Yeah, they're not always like looking down at you. And I tell people that, like, when they say, are they trying to tell me something? I've been dreaming about them. They're showing you they're with you. You need an appointment for that. You know what I mean? Trust that. That's you learning to trust.
It is. And I think it's really important that everybody knows that if you need some support, spiritual support, just ask them for it. Ask for the help. And even if you don't know which angel, which deity, which god or goddess, it's okay. Just put out where you need the help. And the ones that are assigned to that area will be there to support you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's no formal.
They support through our spirit. Not, they can't say, okay, go this way.
Right.
They support that whisper, that feeling, that sense. And the more you practice that every day, just for your own self, the more it shows you how natural. And I always say in 3 weeks, you can totally transform how you feel and look at your own life when you devote to this understanding and principles and use them. Have fun with it.
And it is something to have fun with. Everything is not serious. Everything is not where you have to be so intense about everything and so laser focused. Sometimes you just have to laugh because laughter raises the vibe, right?
Does it best. That's
and
exactly
it feels
right.
Good. I mean, I've never heard anybody said, "Oh, I laughed all day and it hurt and I hated it." I've never
Exactly.
heard that.
Oh my God, I love how that's said. Perfect.
So let's talk about subconscious patterns and how does one break their subconscious sabotage?
Such a powerful, think of the word subconscious. It's under the conscious mind. And Dr. Wayne Dyer, I believe, he told us 85% of our law of attraction and what we're going to create in our life is based on subconscious patterns that we're not even thinking and feeling or aware of consciously. So we have, it's psychology, and it all aligns, but you just got to believe. I think begin with believing that you can, and believe that, whether you have to look in your past, you have to know every single thing that went on, but believe that there are always an opportunity in conscious mind to raise the vibration or, take quiet time for yourself or energize through creativity, do things, believe you can, and then do something about it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Do something, keep it simple. If you pray and you keep it more traditional, just say, I release from what is no longer serving me, past, present, future, or subconscious or consciously. Use an intention to get it in motion.
Love it.
Because it will happen.
It will happen. I know. I'm on, team Beth. I know it's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm not telling you anything. You don't know.
You know what? We were talking on the break about meditations. So can you take us on a short meditation? We have about 3 minutes to break.
Oh, I'd love to.
And
okay.
then we're going to go right into break. I just want to let everybody know we're going to go right into break. So stay tuned.
Okay, great. So if you can close your eyes safely, go ahead. And if you can't, just find something to gaze at. Drop your vision a little bit or your eyelids and find a lower place to look at. And now just be aware of your breathing. And now I want you to slow your breath down a little bit. If you can inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth comfortably, go ahead. Just relaxing the jawline and let the air pass out through your lips. Keep it simple. And now I want you to bring your awareness into your lower belly. And I want you to give those muscles, that awareness, is permission to relax. Lengthen that inhale a little bit more. And the exhale. Let that air pass through. And bring your awareness now to an inner light right in your heart. And that light is going to illuminate in your heart like a spiral. Slow the breath a little more and let that spiral of light expand through your heart, through you and all around you. And allow your awareness to just be in the very beginning of that light, that spark where you are completely illuminated in that beginning. Let that light just expand and take that with you during break. A mantra, I as you inhale, am as you exhale. Just think those two words, inhaling and exhaling. And every cell illuminated by this light. Letting thoughts just pass by.
As we go to break, I ask you to continue following your breath. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.
All right, we are all clear. Back in a couple minutes.
Thank you.
That was nice.
Oh, that was lovely. It was yummy. I really
Clears
like
us.
this. What?
Clears us, slows us down.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love when we have that opportunity. And I was telling you, I was getting emotional. I mean, it was feeling good, but I was just feeling just the desire to release.
You know, that might be something nice for you to bring back when we come back, that you felt, because one of the things I feel people say, well, when I meditate I cry, or when I meditate I feel I feel sensitive, and I can elaborate on that about it being a strength and a natural, how you're releasing whatever it is that low frequencies are passing on up.
Which we like. We want those low frequencies to move up and move out.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of a song that I had sung at a child. I think it was a TV show, like moving them up, moving them out, moving them up.
Yeah, moving on up to the west side.
Is that it?
Sanford, I don't remember the name, but
Oh no, that's not Good Times. It's I can't remember.
yeah, was it Good Times?
Mm,
I think it was good. times.
I can't remember.
I can't
Oh my God.
either. One of us are going to remember it right in the middle of a conversation. Watch.
And then we'll go, wait, I got it. This is
Yeah.
what it is.
Oh my God, too funny.
So funny. But yeah, like if I wasn't on camera, I would probably let it go.
Hmm.
But I always find when I have any desire to cry and to release, I'm going to a meeting, I'm going somewhere, I'm wearing makeup. And it's like,
Yeah, you hate that when that
it's
happens.
like, that's just a tease.
Oh my God. Oh, this is nice. I love talking on the radio about this stuff. This stuff. Sound like a
I love to
Sorry to jump in here,
share.
but we're coming back in about 15 seconds.
Thanks, man. I just love to share the concepts to help people to even explore it. Just pretend.
Absolutely.
VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You are listening to Guided Spirit Conversations. To reach Marla Goldberg or her guest today, you're invited to call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is guidedspiritconversations@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm so glad you stuck around for those who've been here for the show. And if you've just tuned in, I'm talking to Beth Lynch. Beth is an intuitive consultant, medium, author, and founder of Inner Light Teachings. So we're going to start with our charity shout out, and then we're going to go into conversation about what we were speaking about on the break. So charity shout out time. Your charity is visibleman.org. And so let's talk about Visible Man.
VisibleMan.org. I just did a little event for them and donated some of the proceeds. What they are is a program and organization that supports programs and resources for men and mental health issues. And, I know we shouldn't separate, but I feel that, this gentleman who put this all together and is devoted to these programs and resources for men, he goes through his own his own personal experiences and knew and felt that men and young adult men and all ages, but needed more resources to come forward. And the suicide rate is very high. There's a lot of reasons he has. And so he's put together this organization, visibleman.org, and that's what it does. It gives resources and programs to assist, men to get the help they need in different ways too, whether it be through, spirituality, whatever the programs are, he supports a lot of different ways.
And it's a great organization in the sense that we have lots and lots of organizations that really focus on women for various things, but not as much that focus on men and men's needs. And their needs are just as out there as the women's needs are.
Absolutely.
So if you're a man or you know of a man or you want to support this group because you lost a man to suicide, go to visibleman.com. .org. Visibleman.org. So well,
Thank
Beth
you.
and I were talking, my pleasure. Thank you. Beth and I were talking over the break as we went, the meditation flowed into the break. And I was sharing how I get a lot of times when I'm meditating, I'll get teary and I'll want to release. And of course, I'm not going to do it on camera. But then Beth was she said, you know what? It's really important that people, if they feel that way, that they do this. And we wanted to elaborate more on that topic.
Yeah. And that's, I've learned through people saying, well, when I meditate or try to, I start to cry or I get too emotional. And I say, no, that's good. When we're meditating, we're allowing that subconscious where maybe those low emotions are stored from childhood to further back to something that happened the other day. There's no time and energy. And when you give yourself that time, those emotions can come up and you don't always know what they are. And sometimes you may get an understanding or a flash or a knowing, and that's okay too. But you allow the emotional feelings to flow when you meditate. There's many meditations I've come out of with tears coming down my cheeks. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel. And part of the struggles that I think we're having as a species in our mental health area is we've learned to suppress emotion and feelings. And that's been
Yes.
going on decades. And we are now in the consequence of that. That's dangerous. And we have to feel. We have to allow emotion. So it's a good thing. People, I cry like when I'm happy. I cry when, you can cry when you're happy. You can cry when you're overwhelmed. You can cry when you're sad, when you're angry, when you're in fear. So crying is not the bad guy. Crying
No.
is an expression of emotion that is, I need to get out,
It's a cathartic action in my world. That's how I look at
Mhm.
crying. It's cleansing. You're
Mhm.
cleansing yourself.
It's
You
very,
know,
it's cleansing. Tears, water, emotions flowing. Question it. Say, whatever you are, thank you. Let me set you free. Or whatever you are, is there more you can reveal to me? Talk to the emotions that you're having, you know?
absolutely. It's the best way to do it. Talk to
hmm
those emotions. So I want to talk about your book, Soul Rising, The Spiritual Science of Living. What do you mean by spiritual and science?
Well, the spirit would be, 100% of what I've learned about what spirit is, understanding ourselves as intuitive, compassionate, creative beings and connected to something eternal and beautiful. We are compassionate. We want to communicate in the highest way possible to ourselves and others. So understanding that who we are spiritually, and then the science, is really about the energy, like understanding it through frequency. A happy thought is a higher frequency thought or emotion connected to it. Sadness is a lower frequency. Grief, which 98% of the people come to me for, is even a lower frequency. And that understanding vibrationally and through the law of attraction and all the science behind that, um, that helps us understand how to live, you know. And so when I say spiritual science, I feel that sometimes it confuses people. I just like it to be understood. But actually, Soul Rising is going through a re-edit right now, and it's going to be the spiritual principles of living, or a spiritual
Oh,
perspective. I think Soul Rising, and the soul, let it rise. Look at all the emotions and look at the world. Everything's rising. People are reaching out to me. Why am I thinking about something that 20 years ago that was so awful in my life? I don't want to think about it. I go, it's coming up in your conscious mind, so you can say, it's okay. I understand, or I'm open to understand. Set it down. Let it be over. Take it, don't let it roll on autopilot all day long. And then, you're going to respond from that frequency. Understand how this works spiritually and vibrationally, and it changes us.
it does change us. And
Well,
let's,
maybe we should use the word, it aligns us to who we truly are, spiritual and human beings,
I
in that order.
resonate with that.
Yeah,
And
I like
here's the
that
thing,
better.
quantum physics is science, and quantum physics is very front and center in spiritual life.
Absolutely. Dr. Joe Dispenza and
Yes.
Greg Braden, they can get into the science of that in a way that I never could. So that's why I felt the subtitle was going to change a little. Um, or I should change it. And, just listening to them, or, listening to their books or audiobooks or reading them, I've learned it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I could have never understood that. I'm not a scientist, and I'm the first, but wow, it makes you emotional to hear them talk, and
Well, and they know their stuff, that's for
they
sure.
know the physics of it, the science of it. So
They do.
definitely, if that's more your, well, I don't believe in all that stuff. I had a scientist once I was sitting with at an event. Well, I didn't know he was a scientist. So he started talking to me. He knew who I was, though. He knew who I was. I was actually I'm ordained. I was doing the wedding ceremony. So during after the ceremony, he started talking to me, and he knew who I was, but I didn't know who he was. And he started asking me, well, I don't know if I believe in all that spirit stuff. And I'm not an emotional person. And I'm like, well, yes, you are. You're having an emotion right now. He goes, no, I'm not. I go, you are. You're feeling something. He's getting a little defensive. It was kind of funny. And I was just step back. And he goes, well, I just don't know if I believe in all that stuff you do. And I go, well, I'm not trying to prove it. I go, but it's energy. It's frequency. It's really science. And he looked at me. He goes, I don't like what I'm feeling right now. And I go, well, I'm sorry. I go, but we're just having a conversation. He goes, well, I'm a scientist, so I don't really believe in spirit. And I'm like, bingo. Many scientists do, but he couldn't sit with me no more. That was his frequency was going up. He was feeling something. He felt like, I guess he felt like it was messing with his foundation. It adds to the foundation. That was a very natural reaction for him to have. I understood it.
Well, when I first got together with my husband, I was talking to him about energy healing and metaphysics, and he's like, I don't believe in all that. I only believe in science. And it's like, well, what's quantum physics? And what's interesting is 10 years in or more, he's got a different perspective on it. It changes, especially when you live with someone like you or myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My husband used to say, that's your world, not my world. And I said, well, you're going to have to die to know it's your world too, but that's okay. And now after 20 something years, what do you feel on that? Does your intuition tell you something on that? This is what my intuition is telling me. You think that's right? So now he'll talk about it. He'll play meditation to go to sleep. It helps insomnia. Amazing. And he does. And he's been doing that for over 10 years now.
It's amazing. You can't help but shift into the beliefs of someone who proves it, not because you want to prove it, but it's daily life proof.
Yeah, we're living it, and we
happens.
live it genuinely, and that you carry that vibration with you.
It's
and
so
then there's
true.
some people that'll make mad, but I think they're few and far between.
And that's okay. You know what?
Yeah.
If someone doesn't want to believe or they get upset about this, that's theirs to own. And as long as we just keep our nose where we need to keep it and go down our path, then we're good too.
Yeah,
Up to
I like
spirit.
that. That's a good one.
Well, Beth, we're like running out of time now. I just adore having you on the show. This has been great conversation. Thank you. And if you want to look up Beth, she's at innerlightteaching.com. So you can text her, write her, you can find out about her courses, you can find out about her sessions, her private sessions with you, and she will be more than happy to help you raise you out of areas of grief, frustration, anxiety, whatever it is you might be handling or dealing with or wanting to shift. Beth Lynch at innerlightteaching.com, correct?
Yep.
Oh, good. Okay. So I want to thank everyone at Voice America for all that they do. And I want to thank Teresa Scott Reed and Angelique Wiesman. And I want to share a new announcement. My new journal, my sacred journal, is launching on July 1st. You'll be able to find it at Barnes & Noble, on Amazon, or on my website. And it is a support tool for my book, My Effing Long Journey to Loving Yourself, A Guide to a Shorter Path. So look into the journal. It's, if it's a one and done, you just want the journal and that's it. That's great. If you wanted to support the tools and techniques I share in my book, please feel free. We have a YouTube channel, Guided Spirit Conversations. If you like the show, like it, subscribe to it. Don't miss one of these shows because you never know what conversation is going to be there and what you're going to be able to gain from it. And I want to thank you, the listener, for taking time to participate in the show. Without you, where would we be? So until next time, I send you love, I send you blessings, and I send you gratitude. Thank you so much for being here. Stay well. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
And we're all clear. Great job. Good show today.
Thank you.
Awesome.
That was wonderful. I have to say, I am so grateful that you actually, I know that the way you found the summit was through an announcement I made, looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And it was it's so beautifully aligned. And I'm so grateful because I just absolutely say I feel so honored that we're now connected or reconnected because we've obviously been connected before.
Well, thank you. I feel the same. And I want to offer you, maybe when you can take about 45 minutes for yourself, an Inner Light remote healing session. We would just set up the time and I would take you through the guided Inner Light meditation and let you just go. So
thank you. I would love to take you up on that.
That's my dog. She was quiet, thank God.
She wearing a coat?
No, Lola, my little Lola. She's been
Come here,
sitting here the
Lola.
whole time. There she is.
Lola. Oh, she looks tired.
Yeah, she's been meditating for a while. She's been laying here. I was hoping she wasn't snoring. Yeah, so me and you can reach out on that.
Perfect.
Let our schedules get in alignment. Hopefully we can do it in the next week. That would be great for you. And I
Okay.
would love to just share the Inner Light experience with you.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for
Yeah.
that.
Give
And
you,
we're gonna
let
see
you
you-
have the woof time. You deserve it.
Ah, thank you. It's like the massage I can't get right now.
All right, there you go. All right, I'll take a peek at my schedule, maybe send you a couple options and we'll go from there. How's that?
Perfect.
All right. Thank you, Marla.
I just
Are we
made
off?
this on YouTube.